Hello there. It has been raining the last week, every day, and the last 2 days of this week. Today is Tuesday, and they are calling for rain all the way through the weekend. So I have not been able to get out to my bench and do any work on this project. And even when I do get out there are things that I need to do in preparation for the next video that are kind of boring, and you guys are probably not going to want to watch. So some boring sanding stuff and all kind of things like that. And so it'll be probably a week after everything clears up before I can even start working on the instrument again. At least work that I can shoot video of that you will appreciate. So I kind of want to look at the hardware, the electronics, the neck that is going to go on this guitar. Now, if you're watching my acoustic build, which I will get back to, I need some supplies for it too. But you know that I build my own necks. I'm building the neck for that guitar. But for this guitar, I have a neck that I built before. This neck is a neck that came off of an experimental project that I had that I liked when I first finished it, and then as time wore on and I began to listen to the instrument, I realized that it could use some more experimenting. I need to kind of do it over and try another approach. And so it's just been sitting in the corner, pretty much disassembled. And so I'm going to use the neck for that on this guitar. And this is the neck. It has the tuners on it. Now this is a 24.562 scale length neck. This is a rosewood fretboard. It's got abalone dots. It's maple, and you can see it's got some pretty nice looking flame on the headstock, and the back of it I think it's pretty gorgeous. But the finish on it is a wipe-on poly because I just finished it as quick as I could. I wasn't really worried. It was an experimental job, and I wasn't really worried about making it pretty. I just wanted a nice finish on it. Or not a nice, but a finish on it that would protect it from the elements and stuff like that. From humidity and lack of that such and all of that. So what I will probably do, I'll have to plug these holes because they will be different on the other guitar, on this guitar. I will probably sand this down to bare wood and refinish it with nitrocellulose lacquer, which is, at least at this point in time, what I'm going to use for this build. What I might do, I don't know for sure. Of course, I got to build a truss rod access cover and all. But I might put an overlay of walnut or similar material on the face of the head plate. I'm not sure. I like the flame and stuff here, but it might be nicer if I, match the walnut top that's on the guitar with a walnut veneer. Here, the problem is I'll have to measure its thickness. If it's not thin enough to add material and still be able to tighten up the tuners on it, then I won't be able to do that. And so, but I'll give her a shot and see what happens, but I think that that's going to be really nice neck to go on this body. I mentioned it was 24.562 inch scale length. The guitar originally was designed around a 25.5 Fender scale, but I changed it because of the scale length of this neck, and it's not a big deal. It's about an inch difference in the scale length, and I'll just relocate the bridge accordingly, and the pickups will have to be shifted to where I want them. And speaking of pickups, electronics, and things of that nature, join me below. Alright, let's have a look at the hardware and electronics for this instrument. So far, what I have this bridge here. I used this on a tele build that I did, and then did not like it as much, so I replaced that with another type of bridge. This is a solid bridge. It'll work just fine, and it's what I have. What I'm doing is I'm building this instrument as much as I can with stuff that I already have, because economics. But I'll use this one. It's a string through bridge, top loader is what they call them. For pickups, I've got these pickups. These were given to me years ago by my stepson. Give me that. He bought them on eBay. The seller said they were Fender pickups. These are not Fender pickups. Now I've went through and determined what was bridge, middle, and neck, and marked it on the back of the pickup. But these are not Fender pickups. If you look at them, they have the magnet in there like this, and what it is most pickups with a magnet on the back instead of the pole pieces being the magnet themselves. That's the difference between a ceramic pickup and an Alnico magnet pickup. Most of them sit flat on the back of the instrument or back of the pickup like this. These are setting up, and so these pole pieces are shorter. This is either from an old knockoff guitar like you would buy in like a Sears catalog or something like that, or these are modern, fairly modern. I would say they're 20 years old at least, probably a lot more, but cheaper guitar pickups. I don't know what they're going to sound like. They measure 8 ohms resistance, so that's kind of middle of the road. I think a lot of Fender pickups measure between 6 and 8, but I think 8 is getting on toward hot. They all have the same output and all of that, and they might sound great, or they might have like a jangly kind of sound, or they might be high-pitched, squealy things. I won't know until I get them into the guitar, but I don't see any reason not to try them. And then for a switch, this is a decent quality, a good quality. I believe this is Japanese made, but it might be American. But it's a good quality switch, 5-way switch, so that I can get all the Stratocaster tones. But what I might do, I know I have one that's made in Japan. That's a 3-way switch, the way that the old Strats came when the 54 and all, when they first started building the Strat, they had a 3-position switch, and then people found out they could move the switch in kind of like a center position between 1, 2, and 3, and get these pickups or these pickups together, and players started doing that, and then Fender picked up on the idea and then began installing 5-ways. So I could do either one. I think I'm going to go with a 5-way, but I don't know yet. Pots, potentiometers, volume and tone. I have several, excuse me, that I could use, but these are all 500K in resistance, and with single coil pickups, 500K usually makes them really, really bright sounding. So I'm going to have to get a set of 250K pots for this build. And speaking of pots, the volume and tone knobs, I have a couple of options. I'm hoping to find a diagram online that will give me the Fender layout, but only a master tone and a master volume instead of the usual Strat layout, which is a master volume and a tone and then a second tone. I like a volume and tone, and that's it. And I know there's got to be a wiring diagram out there that will show me how to do that. But I could use these. I could use these, which are kind of cool. I think they came probably off a stereo or radio or something like that. I mean, those are pretty cool. Or these. These are always, to me, classic. Or I might end up, I have some top hat knobs like is on that mahogany top telly that I play a lot on my videos. I have a set of those as well. But I may end up having to, if I can't find a diagram that'll give me a master tone, then I may end up having to buy another set of knobs. In that case, it'll be something like this, or some top hat knobs, or something of the sort, because the guitar parts stores, they're not selling that knob. So, but we'll see. And then for an output jack, I have this. It's new, but it's cheap. I like Switchcraft. And since I'm going to be having to order pots, I'm just going to order a really nice Switchcraft jack to go with it. Now, I need a capacitor that goes across the ground on the tone pot that will cause it to be a tone pot. It changes the resistance somehow. And I have these, but they're 22K, 0.22K. I think 0.48K or 46K is more appropriate to these types of pickups because, again, that will make it a little bright. So, I'm going to order pots, resistors, and an output jack, and maybe some knobs. But, and I also have these, they're 0.001, and there's a circuit called a treble bleed circuit where these go on the volume knob, because a lot of times with the guitars, when you turn down the volume knob a little bit, it bleeds highs to ground, so that you lose the high that you have. The high frequencies, they get reduced. But I'm not sure that I'm going to do that because these are single coils, and especially if I go to try to use a bridge pickup by itself, it's liable to be fairly bright to start with, so I will probably not use the treble bleed circuit, so I can kind of turn the volume down on the guitar a bit and sweeten it up and warm it up. So don't know for sure, but that, and then of course I got strap buttons, but I also have shallower strap lock buttons that I may put on this because most of my guitars I use strap locks on. So anyway, that's the extent of what I have so far and what I'm using. Now what I may do these 3 pickups, or I may just do one here and one in the neck like a telly. So, you know, I might do that. It won't sound exactly like a telly because they're not telly pickups, and the Telecaster has a big metal plate that most of the time that the pickup is attached to, and that's a big part of the sound of the telly bridge pickup, and without it, it won't sound the same. These will sound like Stratty kind of pickups like what they are. But, you know, I very seldom use this one by itself. Most of the time on a Strat, this is what I use, the neck pickup, or a combination of these two. But I could live without that combination and just use this and this and be happy. So, and if I did that, I know how to wire a master volume and master tone to two pickups. So I may do that instead. You know, just depends. I'll have to figure that out before I route. So, but anyway, thanks for watching. That's coming up when we get to the point where we begin to install electronics and hardware and stuff like that. This is what I'm thinking of using. Thanks for watching. Bless you. Later.